understanding, and evolving. A very good morning to one and all present here. With immense pride and pleasure, I welcome you all to the Frank Anthony Memorial All India Inter-School Debate Competition hosted by North Point School. A special welcome to our esteemed panel of judges, brilliant teachers, and the dedicated participants. It is truly an honor for us to host this prestigious event. Today, we celebrate not just speaking, but thinking, reasoning, and listening, the true essence of a great debate. Let the sparks of intellect fly and may the best arguments shine. Now, I would like to request respected Principal Mrs. Sudha Menon ma'am to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Our respected judges, dedicated teachers, students, and above all the young debaters who have gathered here today. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to our North Point School. We are honored to host this prestigious Frank Anthony Memorial All India Inter-School Debate competition featuring some of the finest young minds from various schools. The topic was announced to all the participants at 10 o'clock. 1 hour was given for their preparations. The team can select who will speak for the proposition and who will speak for the opposition. During this period, they were not allowed to use any electronic devices. Our library was at their disposal, and now they're all here, charged up for the event. Debate is not just about proving a point. It's about learning to listen, to analyze, and to express ideas with clarity and conviction. Debating is also not about winning an argument. It teaches us to stand up for ideas while respecting those who think differently, a valuable skill to inculcate. To every student taking the stage today, speak with conviction, listen with humility, and most importantly, enjoy the exchange. Whether you win or not, let this experience sharpen your mind and broaden your view. We look forward to a day of powerful ideas, sharp reasonings, and respectful dialogues. All the best to all the participants.
Debate with confidence, respect your opponents, and let your ideas shine bright. Remember, it's not just about winning, but about growing through every word spoken. Wishing each one of you the very best. Now, I invite Tejashri to enlighten us about Mr. Frank Anthony.
Thank you, Sai Pravalika. Mr. Frank Anthony was a multifaceted person, educationist, lawyer, parliamentarian, and prominent leader of the Anglo-Indian community. He was born in Jabalpur on 25th September 1908. He was educated at Nagpur University, where he received the Viceroy's Gold Medal. He then went on to study law at the Inner Temple in England, from where he was called to the bar. On his return to India, Mr. Anthony successfully fought many legal battles, especially safeguarding the rights of minorities. His most significant contribution was in the field of education. In 1942, he was elected chairman of the Interstate Board for Anglo-Indian Education. As an educationist, Mr. Anthony is best remembered for his proposal to establish an alternate board to the senior Cambridge examination. Thus, the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations came into being. Mr. Anthony was, in fact, the founder chairman of the Council for the Indian School Certificate Examinations, CISCE, from 1958 to 1993. He also founded the All India Anglo-Indian Education Institution, which administers schools named after him in New Delhi, Kolkata, and Bengaluru. As a prominent leader of the Anglo-Indian community, Mr. Anthony was President-in-Chief of the All India Anglo-Indian Association from 1942 till his demise in 1993. It was due to his efforts that the leaders of post-independent India made special provisions to reserve 2 seats for the Anglo-Indian community in the Lok Sabha and 1 each in some of the state legislative assemblies. Mr. Anthony was a member of the Constituent Assembly and the Drafting Committee and was entrusted with the task of writing a new constitution of free India. This annual debate competition has thus been appropriately named after Mr. Frank Anthony. He was an eloquent speaker, and his spirited arguments during his legal battles, his speeches in Parliament, and his writings are memorable. Now, I hand over the mic to Arya Krishnakumar to introduce the judges. I take great pleasure to introduce our distinguished judge for the event, Mrs. Asha Narayanan. Mrs. Asha Narayanan has made outstanding contributions in the field of education. She has worked as the principal of St. Mary's ICSE School and Lodha World School for 2 decades. She had also worked as the director of Thanekar International School, Badlapur, and had been the dean of 2 schools in Mumbai. Her remarkable academic journey began as a dedicated teacher at St. Gregorius High School and Vidyasagar High School. She has always been a constant source of guidance, inspiration, and has been instrumental in fostering a positive impact among her students. Mrs. Asha Narayanan has won several awards and honors for her academic excellence and expertise. She is a recipient of the prestigious Reliance Foundation Teacher Award and Changemaker Award. She has achieved notable accomplishments as the head of curriculum and quality standardization at Lodha Institute of Teacher Education. We are truly grateful to have you here, ma'am. A very warm welcome to you.
Our next judge is Mr. Rohan Balani. He is a lawyer with over 8 years of experience in the field of international trade law, with a focus on global trade strategy and regulatory frameworks. He has represented clients before the Bombay High Court and various appellate tribunals, particularly in cases that required the interpretation of complex laws and nuanced legal principles. Mr. Rohan has worked with some of the world's most respected organizations, including Deloitte, Amazon, and BASF, and currently serves as a global trade expert at Mahindra. In addition to his corporate legal career, Mr. Rohan is deeply committed to education and community engagement. He has volunteered as a teacher for underprivileged 10th grade students at an NGO and conducts seminars on law as a career for school students, aiming to make legal education more accessible and inspiring. He frequently collaborates with academic institutions through guest lectures and mentorship on communication, critical thinking, and legal awareness. We welcome Mr. Rohan Balani to today's event.
As our next judge, Mr. Rajdeep Mukherjee is a corporate lawyer working at Trilegal, one of India's leading law firms. During law school, he interned with Honorable Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, former Chief Justice of India, and assisted the Special Public Prosecutor of the Narcotics Control Bureau. Mr. Rajdeep has won awards in mooting and has chaired and participated in various MUNs. He has been a winner in ADR competitions like GLC ADR Challenger 2021 and Mega Challenger 2022. He has various certificates to his name, including a diploma in cybercrime and cyber law. Mr. Rajdeep is also a seasoned debater and coach, and has judged various national and international debating tournaments. Additionally, he has conducted outreach programs in Mumbai's public schools. He blends his legal training with a passion for public speaking and mentorship. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir.
A very good morning to all of you present here. Ms. Susan Vettel is the moderator of the event. Ms. Susan, with 18 years of experience as an English teacher, has molded and mentored many young minds. In her career, she has nurtured and nourished many budding talents in debates, declamations, and elocutions. After graduation from Women's Christian College, Chennai, Ms. Susan took a master's in English from the prestigious Stella Maris College, Chennai. For us, she is family and is currently heading the literature department of North Point School. Susan, ma'am, we welcome you.
This is one of the most prestigious inter-school debates held across the country among CICSE schools. Today, we have among us 22 talented speakers representing 11 schools. I warmly welcome each one of them to this event. For the purpose of absolute fairness, names of schools have not been disclosed, and each school has been assigned a team name. Each contestant is wearing a badge adorned with either a red or a purple ribbon, red indicating the speaker standing against the motion, and purple indicating the one standing for the motion. I request the participants to raise their hands as I introduce them to the judges and the audience. From Team Daffodil, Mr. Vivan Shah and Ms. Nishita Agarwal. From Team Dahlia, Mr. Joshua and Mr. Raj Shekhar. From Team Hibiscus, Ms. Sara and Ms. Nupur. From Team Jasmine, Ms. Zara and Ms. Rebecca. From Team Lily, Mr. Srijan and Mr. Hardik. From Team Lotus, Ms. Arya and Ms. Anvesha. From Team Marigold, Mr. Grant and Ms. Dhyani. From Team Sunflower, Ms. Meenakshi and Mr. Manav. From Team Tulip, Ms. Subshi and Mr. Vanshaj. Moving on to the debate. The topic for the debate was sent to the school in a sealed envelope. This envelope was opened this morning in the presence of the principal and the participants. Thus, the topic of the debate was announced 1 hour before the commencement of the debate. The participants had this 1 hour for their preparation and was given access to the books and periodicals in the school library. They were not allowed to use the internet or any electronic gadgets. Each team was given the liberty to decide the speaker for the proposition and the opposition. Moving on to the rules, the participants must announce whether they are speaking for or against the motion at the beginning of their speech. Speakers are not allowed to read out from prepared text, and if found reading out from a paper, will be penalized for the same. Participants must not use unparliamentary language during the debate. Each speaker will be given 4 minutes to speak. A short warning bell will be rung at the end of 3 minutes, and 2 quick bells will be rung at the end of 4 minutes. Anything spoken after 4 minutes will not be considered. After each speaker finishes the speech, 2 minutes will be allotted for rebuttal. Rebuttal will be in the form of short, precise questions asked by members of the competing teams on the content of the speaker's presentation. Participants speaking for the motion can pose questions only to the participants speaking against the motion and vice versa. I repeat that point. Participants speaking for the motion can pose questions only to those speaking against the motion, and the other way around. In case no question is asked within the first 10 seconds, the moderator shall remind the contestants that if no question is asked within the next 10 seconds, then full marks for rebuttal will be awarded to the speaker. Participants, please note that cross-questioning of the contestants is not allowed. The scoring will be in the following format: content, 15 marks; Argument, rebuttal, 10 marks. Appropriateness of language, 10 marks. Delivery, 10 marks. Demeanor, poise, stance, 5 marks. This debate is judged by a panel of 3 esteemed judges, and their decision is final and binding. The debate being conducted today is Stage 1, preliminary stage in Category 1 for the students of classes 11 and 12. Certificates of merit will be awarded only to the best speaker, the first runner-up in the best speaker category, and the 2 speakers from the winning school team. Certificates of participation will be issued to all participants. Coming to the topic, an extremely relevant and thought-provoking one. The topic for today is AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. We shall now commence the debate with speakers from the first team. Team Daffodil, Mr. Vivan Shah speaking for the motion.
It is not man versus machine, but man with machine versus man without machine. In today's world, where the rich seem to keep getting richer, people still exist who cannot afford 3 meals a day. Our focus should not be on whether we are developing, but whether our development is reaching every section of society and benefiting it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Vivan Shah, and I do believe that AI in education will widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. AI in education could mean anything, from having ChatGPT finish your assignments to having facilitators mark your papers with the use of AI. But all of this is only possible when the resources for them exist. Do you not think a country considered to have one of the fastest growing economies will have quality education being provided to the citizens? Let's ask ourselves, does India, the 4th largest economy in the world, have these facilities? And if India does not, then what about poorer countries? What do we mean when we say there is a gap between the privileged and the underprivileged? Well, Oxford defines the privileged as a special right or advantage for a specific person or group. I would like to ask you one more question. Who is more likely to be successful? Student A, having an MBA degree from Harvard Business School, or student B, having an MBA degree from a local government college? Can I get a show of hands for student A? People who think student A will be more successful than student B in the future? Any responses? And who is more likely to study in a prestigious institution or be taught nuanced interpersonal skills, research skills, reasoning skills, and have higher potential practical knowledge? Student A of a popular private school in a posh locality, or student B of a government school in a village where the basic human need of even getting water daily is variable? Does this not prove that a gap without a complex technological advancement already exists? And having this complex technological advancement introduced, in this case AI, will increase the disparity and the gap from the get-go or the school level. Since the last 2 years, I have had the privilege of having visited 2 government schools in villages in Maharashtra. The government is pushing to make education a compulsion, which makes education no longer a luxury. But quality education with fundamental resources is still a luxury in this country. Those children in those schools were from humble backgrounds, but they did not go to school every day. They went every alternate day. Why? Because they were helping their fathers by toiling in the fields to serve their family, to bring food on their plate. Responsibility is a skill instilled in them from a very young age. And that is the reason they did not go to school every day. We, the students of my school, and I traveled to their village in AC buses. The village did not even get daily electricity. So I ask you once more, is there not a pre-existing gap which will only increase if privileged get more privileges? In conclusion, while investing in the future promises a better tomorrow, what is the use when our present, the world we live in, keeps sinking further and further into this gap?
Students studying in a local business school can also achieve the things that a student from Harvard Business School has done with the use of AI.
I personally believe, and the reason for me giving that example is to put up a general scale of comparison. What I meant to say was a student studying from a prestigious school is more likely to have a successful future than someone studying from a local government college who will not get enough exposure or as much exposure as the student from the prestigious institution.
Any other questions? Yes, Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, don't you think that installing AI as a teacher is easier in rural areas as compared to hiring a professional in their field who might not even come?
The use of AI is subject to the presence or the existence of electricity. And taking the example of India, a lot of villages are still struggling to get electricity daily. Without electricity, how will this AI-generated teacher be able to do any good to
Education directly correlates to success, but how can you say that when we have so many examples of successful entrepreneurs who are dropouts?
Those successful entrepreneurs who are dropouts are all dropouts from prestigious universities. When you think of Mark Zuckerberg, he was a Harvard alumni. When you think of Bill Gates, he studied from a prestigious university. So what my point was is that a person given this exposure through technological advancements like AI is more likely to be successful. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Vivan.
Privileged enjoy all the resources and the underprivileged are just left behind. We have all heard of the story that our parents tell us about the child who studies under the street lamp and still passes their 10th boards with high marks, and they shame us of how we do it with all the resources given to us. And we just brush it aside and laugh it off. What we don't realize is that this is the actual reality of many of the students all around the world. Imagine a world where a student studying underneath the lamppost for the grade 10 board exams gets a 95%, whereas the student who goes to tuition every single day gets a 95% as well. Now imagine if the student who studied under the street lamp would have gotten the same resources, same leveling field, and same access to every single resource that the person has gotten. Do you not think there would have been a progress? And we don't have to imagine this world, because this is the world we already live in. I am Nishita Agarwal, and I stand against this motion. AI can fix this rigged cycle and liberate the underprivileged. We live in a world where every single household has a smartphone, a privilege as well as the underprivileged. And what we don't realize is that that single smartphone, that small device where you watch endless reels and scroll through, is the gateway for liberation through education. AI. When we first think of AI, all we think of is robots. But AI is as simple as something as ChatGPT. The reason why there's a gap between the underprivileged and the privileged is of lack of resources, lack of money, lack of accessibility, facilities, etc. And through AI, we can combat each one of them. AI has the ability to give us information on every single subject that we need, whether it's physics, English, history, and so on. Easy subjects and complex subjects just with a single prompt. And this stands for the underprivileged students as well. By just using AI, the facility that can be given from free, like ChatGPT, they can get all the information in the world and can pass all of their papers easily. There are many free AIs in the market that give you information in every aspect. This looks like a child from Muradabad or from small villages using their family smartphone to get notes for the upcoming competitive exam. AI identifies what the child needs to prosper and cater to them that helps the child strive. They will be the student's personal mentor, teacher, etc. Many of these underprivileged students live in rural areas where they only have schools till primary and their secondary school is all the way kilometers away, We have also heard of the stories that children traveling miles and miles just to reach to their schools. But through the usage of AI, we give them remote accessibility to information and through education. AI doesn't stick to just one specific language. Take India as an example, where every village has various dialects and various languages, but many schools and colleges don't cater to that. But AI does not have a language barrier. It lets you understand every single information from every single field through just one click. In conclusion, we have to stop feeling that the usage of AI is dangerous and use it to our advantage. Through this, we level the playing field between the privileged and the underprivileged in the terms of resources, facilities, language accessibility, location accessibility, as well as expense. This looks like a child who's studying under the lamppost get a better future and be able to give their children a better future.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned in your speech that the underprivileged student who studied under the street lamp could possibly score higher with the similar resources to a privileged student. Don't you think that proves the point that AI in education widens the gap between both the students?
The point over here was that even without AI, if they can possibly achieve things like this, imagine what they can do with AI. The example that I've given is a possibility out of 1 in a million. There are many students who struggle to even get 70s in boards because they're not able to get the facilities. But by using AI, and AI can bridge this gap by giving free resources to the underprivileged.
Team Lily had a question.
Obviously, the student studying beneath a street lamp does not even have access to basic electricity. How would an appropriate provision be made for a computer or an appropriate device with high-speed internet, considering that the nation is failing to even give the basic right of electricity?
So my worthy opponent, we are not asking the children to buy an iPhone of 1 lakh. All that we're asking is that one simple mobile phone. You don't need high-speed internet for that. You can use the basic electricity that has been provided in villages as well. So basically what I'm trying to say, that the accessibility of AI can be done through rural villages as well, through maybe government funds, etc.
Team Marigold.
So the question for you is that you mentioned that everything can be implemented through ChatGPT, but ChatGPT also requires technological tools like even simple mobile, as you stated. You only stated that there is lack of resources, money, etc. So when these people are suffering from lack of accessibility, the privileged class with a clear foundation are exploiting it for max potential and benefit, which indeed is widening the gap.
Is this a statement or a question?
A question.
So can you please frame it as a question?
So how do you answer it is, when these people are suffering from the lack of accessibility, as you mentioned, the ones who are already there with a clear base and foundation are exploiting these resources. So don't you think AI is helping out the industrial power and creme de la creme that is there and widening the gap between the underprivileged and privileged?
So basically the lack of accessibility was how they don't have the educational resources and how villages maybe only have school till maybe primary level and not secondary. So through AI, we can tackle this. We can get education for higher purposes through AI, which is not there in villages itself. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nishita.
And I'm Joshua, and I'm here to talk for the motion that AI in education will definitely widen the gap between the privileged and underprivileged students. Now, I know that many of you might be thinking, doesn't AI help in ensuring fairness? Doesn't AI serve as a great tool for personalized support in education? I agree that AI in education has many benefits, but these benefits are only accessible to the people who can afford them. Let me ask you a question. Is there any use in giving you a car without the keys to open it? We know that the majority of the children in India go to half-equipped government-aided schools with no proper internet and 2 old computers. How will they reap the benefits of AI if they can't even access it? Equipping schools with AI is a huge task and is very costly. And even if we try to Even if we try to implement AI in education, we will have to face an array of all sorts of problems, like corruption by government officials, bribery, and so much more. Since the day our country got independence, we have been striving to establish equality between all sections of society, between all students. But implementing AI right now will be a huge step back in our path to progress. Exams will no longer reflect a student's potential. It will just reflect the level of artificial intelligence they had access to. As I conclude, I would like to tell us all that we have to take a collective effort to clear the problems in our society before even thinking of implementing AI in our everyday education. Thank you.
2 minutes and 30 seconds. Yes, Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, what do you think is easier, setting up all the housing infrastructure and amenities to hold a teacher, or just getting a simple device in a classroom that can have an AI teacher, which will obviously make education more accessible to the students?
Thank you for your question. I think my fellow debater had answered a question similar to this before, where he mentioned that electricity is not completely available in many of the villages in India. Villages in India are in continuous need of electricity, but they don't get it. You're talking about an AI teacher which continuously requires electricity and internet, but this is not really feasible in a country like ours.
Team Tulip.
My question to you is that I'll tell you how AI is an effective tool, right? Many reports suggest that incorrect human judgment can be replaced by AI's critical decision making. Example, DeepMind's retinal scan has 94% accuracy versus 88% by doctors. You might be thinking that why am I stating such facts? Don't you think that AI is such a powerful tool that can help underprivileged students with learning disabilities to help them educate themselves more?
Yes, I definitely do think that AI is a powerful tool, but I had mentioned at the start that AI is not accessible to every Indian. The AI has many benefits in education, but the thing is that only we are able to reap those benefits. What about those people in Bihar, those governments, the children going to government schools? How will they ever reap these benefits? We have to tackle other problems before even thinking of implementing AI in education.
Any further? Team Daffodil?
My worthy opponent, you talked about path to progress, right? So does it only include the privileged?
Can you repeat your question?
My worthy opponent, in your speech you mentioned that AI is a hindrance to the path of progress. So does it only include the privileged?
Please keep your answer really short. We are out of time.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself Rajshekhar Upadhyay, and today I am going to speak against the motion that AI in education widens the gap between the privileged and the unprivileged. My friends, AI is a new teacher in the world of education, an educator of its own kind. So, just for a while, let's pick up the textbook, let's pick up a history textbook, which is kept on the table, and turn the pages in the history. If I want to learn history during the British era, and I am from an unprivileged family, can I? No, I can't. But if my father is a colonel in the English East India Company, then he can afford that education for me. Sorry to say, my friends, but even in today's world, education is a luxury. AI does not act as a gap, my friends, but it acts as a bridge connecting the privileged and the unprivileged. In India, more than 70% of its population has accessibility to a mobile phone. So most of us can use AI, and even the unprivileged ones. And we know. And let's take an example for a boy who goes to a government school in Jharkhand. We all know that what government schools in India are. They lack facilities, they lack teachers, and they lack good educators. But if that boy uses his mother's or father's mobile phone to access the artificial intelligence, he can get access to knowledge which the worlds get. So how we can say that AI widens the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged? AI shows that it doesn't widen the gap, but it acts as a bridge connecting the privileged and the unprivileged people together. AI also helps the privileged people, as we know that there may be a availability or may not be ability of the teachers present in the market for the subject we want to choose. But AI teaches us according to the way we learn, according to the way we understand, according to the way we understand, and our relevancy of education. We all know that in our schools we have faced something called as teachers' biasness, or often called as teachers' favoritism, where a teacher doesn't focuses on all the students at a time, and all of us have suffered from this. I personally have seen that, and AI doesn't discriminate. AI teaches you in a way which is relevant to us. We know that teachers have a different way to teach. Not all of them teach in the same way up to our capacity, but AI does that. It provides education in different forms. For best example, we take the government schools. We know that what type of teachers, the quality of teachers are very low. And if we introduce AI education to that places, we know that we can increase the productivity of this nation. So I would like to say that I would like to repeat my point that AI doesn't widen a gap. It acts as a bridge, connecting people together and may lead us together. And for example, if you don't think that my points are real, then the best example is most of you use Chat GPT and trust on it more than you yourselves. So how is this possible so this means that artificial intelligence can prove itself. Artificial intelligence has a confidence in it and may increase the rate of education in this country, providing a better education not on the basis of money and not on the basis of caste and religion, but on the basis of humanity. Thank you.
My worthy opponent, you had mentioned how an underprivileged student can use a mobile phone to access AI. But often in these underprivileged rural areas, these students have phones, but seldom that they don't have network coverage towers. So how can you explain how are they supposed to access AI without Wi-Fi?
Thank you for your question. As my esteemed opponent said, the rate of internet in this country has increased, first of all. And second thing, talking in terms of there should not be only one phone in a family. Everybody has 2 to 3 phones. And if not, at least in the schools, he can access to even an old computer is fine. Knowledge doesn't mean to have a good, good electric devices, but it depends on from where do you get it and how do you get it.
Team Hibiscus.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned in your speech that ChatGPT is an example of AI. What do you have to say about the fact that ChatGPT also shows disclaimers that their information may have errors and bias?
The reason is even artificial intelligence being a machine, the accuracy of any machine can't be 100%. So even humans make mistake, but the rate of AI making a mistake comparatively less than humans. So why can't we question our teachers more than an artificial intelligence?
Team Tulip.
You mentioned the degradation of government schools in your speech. So instead of rising the dependency on AI, why don't we focus to improve the conditions of the government school?
Thank you for my question. As my esteemed opponent said, why don't we focus on making government schools better? My friends, what led to the depletion of this country? And it's corruption. And that's the reason behind it. If we take states such as Bihar, Jharkhand and Uttar Pradesh or Manipur, there are government schools, but most of the government teachers focus on something called as money and not on teaching. That's why we all are here. Why don't we take admission in the government school if we think that? And even the government there are many people who believe in corruption and which led to the downfall of this nation too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rajshekhar.
Technology is best when it brings people together. Matt Mullenberg. Good morning, respected principal, moderators, honorable judges, my worthy opponents, and dear audience. Technology and AI has proven to consistently be harmful, whether it be to underprivileged or privileged students. It extinguishes the fire that is producing quality original content and eliminates critical thinking abilities. For instance, have you ever just felt lazy and to do an assignment and chat GPT the answer? I know I have. This illustrates the evil of AI and its ability to kill creative thinking. From an economic standpoint, AI in education also increases income inequalities. And a privileged student who has access to internet and therefore AI is likely to use that AI and those resources to gain a better advantage and score higher marks. An underprivileged student will not be able to do so. In the future, the privileged students are likely to gain an advantage and score like faster job placements and with higher salaries. This proves that the AI in education is contributing to making the rich richer and the poor poorer. Furthermore, it also handicaps the privileged students because the privileged students who have access to AI will constantly be spoon fed and over dependent on the use of AI for their education. In the future, the underprivileged students will have a greater advantage during practical application because they will be able to make quick decisions and think on the spot, while the privileged students who are used to AI will be standing on their phones and searching for the answer. In conclusion, I would like to say that I strongly believe that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students, and it should be avoided. Thank you.
As you said in your speech about internet connectivity, but during a recent report, Jyoti Aditya Sethia, the internet minister of this nation, said that the internet towers in the rural areas have been increased by 30%. So how do you mean to say that underprivileged students wouldn't get access to the artificial intelligence?
My worthy opponent, thank you for your question. Comparatively to students that are privileged in rural areas and the students in villages, I agree that there have been more internet access, but it is comparatively less and they are still unaware of artificial intelligence existing.
My worthy opponent, you said how an increase in AI in education leads to increasing income inequalities, but you also later stated how both underprivileged and privileged students have how they both end up successful. So how can you justify your statement?
My worthy opponent, thank you for your question. Like I said previously, I have mentioned both the advantages to privileged and underprivileged students, and the topic is about widening the gaps, and either way it will be widening the gaps because either privileged students will benefit or the underprivileged will benefit.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah.
It's clay, but humans still sculpt. Good morning, dear audience. I, Nupur Shah, will be speaking against the motion that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged. While it can be argued that AI is not available for the underprivileged, but both need brains in the end of the day to demand results. I strongly oppose, as brains are to be used in the end, and artificial intelligence won't help. For instance, if potential doctors start using AI to get results, I don't really think there can be a future for medicine. And in the end, they have to perform surgeries on their own using their brain and can also give false information or incomplete information, and we can blindly copy it. It can also censor useful information as government controls AI. For example, a Chinese app, DeepSeek, does not give useful political information as it is censored by the government. AI is not always accurate as we think it is. In conclusion, AI will always remain a servant to the master, that is human brain. Thank you.
The participant has spoken just under 3 minutes. Questions, Team Tulip.
AI not performing surgeries and stuff. But there have been studies that because AI is a robot and it never gets tired like the human mind, it can perform surgeries with precision in, for example, 19-hour-long surgeries and something. What is your take on that?
My dear worthy opponent, thank you for your question. As I've mentioned that Sometimes AI can also give false information or incomplete information that we are not aware of. So how can we be so sure that AI has given us complete information about the surgeries?
Team Poppy.
How exactly does this strengthen your stance against the argument?
My dear worthy opponent, as if we have to ask or demand answers from AI, we need to use our own brain and we have to know our matter well. So, yeah. I think both need brains.
Team Daffodil.
Considering that ChatGPT is not the only source of AI and AI extends to machinery as well, are you disregarding the statistics and studies which prove that AI can be more accurate than humans at times?
My dear worthy opponent, as I've already mentioned in my speech, that we do not know that if AI is completely accurate, as it can also censor some information as it is government controlled. So,
Team Jasmine.
Greetings, my worthy opponent. I'm Zara Sen, and as a speaker for the motion, you've said that AI can be inaccurate. However, a recent study in biosciences revealed AI to point out and figure out about 200 various types of amino acid patterns. One where if humans would have done it by themselves, it would have taken years of research. What do you have to say on AI being inaccurate?
my dear worthy opponent, we do not know that if it is completely accurate because sometimes the information is kept hidden by us, by the government, and we don't have complete information about it.
Thank you. That concludes the rebuttal. Thank you, Ms. Nupur.
I hope I'm audible. Esteemed faculty, my honorable opponents, and my gracious audience, I, Zara Sen, as a speaker for the motion that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students, would like to base this argument of mine on 3 key pointers. To begin with, it's regarding the implementation of AI in various educational regions. All of this will come down to income and society, where areas lacking these key resources will not be able to invest high funds in hardware, software, or technical support. This will lead to the drastic decrease of their ability to train their faculty and teachers to implement such tools in real life. This, in turn, will create a stark contrast of digital literacy, thereby impacting the key phase of a student's life, their learning phase. This brings me to my second point of concern, which is regarding the future of the workforce and economic progress. To begin with, even if AI does benefit us, these benefits will be extremely disproportionately spread. As marginalized society and their people, at best, could receive careers regarding sectors of customer service, transportation, and manufacture, all of which are susceptible to AI due to their routine-based nature. This, in turn, brings 2 key issues. One, where retraining and upskilling of these displaced employees will be time-consuming, or these people have to live off of government subsidies or compensations for the rest of their life. While some regions and their people see economic booms, others will see staggering losses. Now, this brings me to my third daunting aspect, the consequences. The immediate and obvious one would be the widening of the distance, the financial distance between the rich and the poor. This increasing unemployment could lead to social unrest, mass widespread poverty, and also the lack of social mobilization. We must also not ignore the psychological consequences of this, being anxiety, depression, or lack of self-worth from social comparison, and the lack of stability and standard of living for these people. To conclude, our country, as a developing nation, could hinder its progress in global competition if this issue isn't solved, as developed nations with better facilities could reap higher benefits in terms of technological or financial gains. Hence, all of this will come down to our educational system and its decision on AI. So, we must either make clear ethical frameworks, which are time-consuming and complex due to the ever-changing nature of AI, or even if we were to progress from AI and benefit, we must remember that it must never, ever be done at the cost of basic rights and freedom.
So you mentioned in your speech that one of the points of the consequences was that this will lead to lowering the standard of living. Don't you think with the help of AI, even the underprivileged will raise their standard of living rather than decreasing it?
Yes, but as I mentioned, education could be a big factor of the future that a person could achieve. And so, because of AI not being correctly implemented, their opportunities could drastically decrease, thereby not giving them the future they desired.
Good morning to respected judges, worthy opponents, the eager audience, and everyone else present here. Is education that reserved or confined to create a gap between people? Today, I, Rebecca Jason, stand firmly against the statement that AI in education will widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. This is not just a debate. It is a reflection of where our society stands today. AI has the scope to be everywhere, and so does education. It is capable of performance, it is capable of learning, and it is also capable of teaching. It is just a matter of creating a free-flowing channel. Implementation of AI helps increase the skills and knowledge of an individual, whether they be privileged or whether they be underprivileged. It increases the engagement, the interest, and the motivation of an individual, indirectly increasing their thirst for knowledge. It increases your social skills. You get to know how to interact with others, how to present yourself in a social setting. AI, being innovative and unique, creates a virtual or fictional simulation, converting complex tasks into interesting and easier ones. It provides personalized learning and assessment, preparing individuals for future careers that AI itself might bring. Economically, people, either privileged or underprivileged, are unaware of the economic situation. AI provides personalized solutions to each individual on their financial situations. The underprivileged know how the economy works. They know how the world works. They know how to make their income. They know how to save. They know how to invest in the best way possible. Legally, privileged or underprivileged people all go through inequality. They go through judgment. They go through discrimination in their everyday lives. When underprivileged people are aware of their laws, they know how to implement them, and they get to know that they are no different from the privileged ones. It creates an awareness and skill to fight. An example, the privileged are open to the services of a consultant. Meanwhile, the underprivileged are not. AI provides that service free of cost and in a wide range, personalized according to their financial and social situation. Psychological. AI in education improves one's mindset. Lack of education or lack of quality education creates insecurity among individuals. It also helps people be aware of their environmental surroundings. People living in slums or buildings both are equally unaware of their environment. The underprivileged ones, wherever they are, see and recognize what is wrong and what needs to be improved. AI in education makes aware of what is happening around the world. AI is vast and so is education, and it should be available to both the privileged and the underprivileged. AI or education, none of the two can be creating a gap. Gaining education is the basic right of an individual. It is the fundamental basic right of an individual. And I believe that no, AI in education does not widen the gap. Rather, it can become a catalyst in bringing them closer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rebecca. Yes, Team Tulip.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned AI in education is a useful tool for underprivileged students. What do you have to say about the fact that human touch is better in real learning?
Thank you for your perspective onto this topic. The thing that matters that I am bringing up is that it is important for the underprivileged people. The services that they need, right now they are not receiving it properly. And I think AI can provide that to them in a wider extent. Thank you.
Team Daffodil.
You mentioned the underprivileged know how to make and save and invest their income. If they do have this knowledge, then how exactly are they still underprivileged?
Thank you for your question. I had mentioned that through AI, they can know to save and invest and make income in the best ways possible. Right now, they do not have that means, but through AI and education, it can give them personalized ways on how they can gain income, invest, and get to a more stable financial situation. Thank you.
Team Lotus.
Speaker, you mentioned that AI has the scope of performing in all fields that humans can. What are your thoughts of AI performing in the field of psychology, such as a therapist? Do you think AI will be able to provide the help a human needs?
Thank you for your question.
You can answer in short.
Thank you for your question. I believe that AI in education does... Here the matter we are talking about is AI in education, and in that, in great extent, does help them increase their expanse of knowledge. But in case if you want your AI to be a therapist, if you do put correct prompts and if they are made up in good hands, I think they do give you good results. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rebecca.
Used to say, emphasis on the used to, education serves as one avenue to better the life of the poor. Friends, we stand at the intersection of a radical transformation, a transformation seen across almost all industries, especially in the industry of education. I, Srijan Pandey, stand for the cause AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and the underprivileged children. Let us... education, which was once seen as the epitome of success, a recipe for success, is now falling into the same hands. The same old principle that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I will illustrate this with the help of an example. Imagine two students, student 1 and student 2. Student 1 studies in a poor, decapitated school in Uttar Pradesh, while student 2 studies in a posh school in South Mumbai. There is a fundamental difference, I hope the opposition recognizes, on the ability of the two students. Student 1, which suffers from a lack of access to electricity, a lack of infrastructure, a lack of even basic electricity for that matter, is expected to perform and is judged on the same linear scale as a student from the privileged South Mumbai locality. The fact of the matter is that the student from the richer locality will obviously get an upper hand. Why? Because the student has access to the newest artificial intelligence technologies. What are those technologies? What will they do? What those technologies will basically do is that it will provide the student, the privileged student, with a 24/7 tutor. It will provide him with a near infinite compendium of knowledge. And what will the poor student get? The poor student will get an often underfunded school system, a nation which neglects its government schools in the hands of the richer elite. Let's be true to ourselves. The argument that artificial intelligence will sort of democratize the democratize the field of education is a rather fallacious argument, for it only represents one side. What is that one side? The side of the privileged. Why so? Because if one looks at the scenario of poorer localities, especially rural villages, it is horrible. There is a lack of electricity, there is a lack of basic infrastructure, even lab equipment is not available there, even state prescribed textbooks are seldom available there. How can we expect the student from such an environment to score on the same linear scale as the underprivileged? On what basis do we expect the two to perform the same? These, by the way, are scaled on the same linear scale, a linear scale which is often criticized as being inadequate. We have seen this precedent, the same precedent that newer technologies will democratize the access of education. We have seen this with computers. In the 1980s, when computers were introduced to India, the same promise was made that eventually all students will get access to the computers and therefore it will create a rather egalitarian environment. We all know that did not happen. Even to this day, in 2025, we do not see many schools in rural localities with the provisions of computers. And to conclude, we bleed the same blood. All humans bleed the same blood. We understand the same concepts. We apply those said concepts in identical fields. Why then we face such a harsh discrimination, such an abridged discrimination to a fundamental right such as education? Thank you.
As you said in your speech that there are rural villages which don't even have lag equipments, how do you think that there being or not being of lag equipment on computers reduce the effectiveness of using AI, whereas AI just needs a simple mobile phone? It doesn't use a very high level of technology or high level of resources.
Thank you, first of all. Thank you for your question, esteemed opponent. But the fact of the matter is that artificial intelligence, albeit requires basic mobile phone technology, but it still requires internet. If you go to the hills of Chhattisgarh, for example, if you go to the hills of Ladakh, even a tourist town like Srinagar has a lot of discrepancies in the access of internet. The fact is that India is a developing nation. We do not have internet access everywhere. India is a country of 1,000 different terrains. Each terrain requires its own nuances. The fact is that the very provision of a mobile phone, provided mobile phone is provided to everyone. But the fact is that internet availability, especially since artificial intelligence, at least the better ones, need at least a connection of about, I guess, 10 Mbps. This is not available in a majority of the rural localities if one goes there, even in the richest state of Maharashtra. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Team Hibiscus. I request the participants to please rise when they pose the questions.
My worthy opponent, what do you have to say about the fact that there are students from underprivileged areas that have become successful without AI and such resources?
Thank you for your question. Now, there is a fundamental difference between obviously, as one of my opponents said, as one of my fellow debaters said, that a person scoring 95%, both of them, while studying beneath a lamppost, while studying beneath a lamppost, but the difference is the amount of effort applied by those students. Obviously, the students sitting beneath the lamppost will apply more efforts for it. For the student lacks the basic technologies needed. There is a fundamental difference in the efforts applied by the students. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Sadik Mehra, I will be speaking against the motion. Maulana Yousafzai once said, "One child, one teacher, one book, and one pen can change the world." This perfectly describes how important education is for our society. However, not every child gets to enjoy this privilege. The rich, obviously they get access to the best schools, the best institutions, the best teachers. But the poor, absolutely nothing. Not only do they not get good institutions, but also they do not get support from their teachers. However, imagine a world where your teacher is always available, always accessible, and has a huge amount of knowledge in almost every field imaginable. Well, that is what we will get when we utilize AI in the field of education. What is the main selling point of all these huge institutions, these privileged universities? It is the fact that they have professionals in their fields teaching every single subject. However, with the use of AI, we can make this huge amount of knowledge accessible to each and every institution around the world. Along with this, an AI doesn't need housing, it doesn't need salaries, it does not need amenities as compared to a normal teacher, meaning that it is more easily applied in rural areas as compared to professionals in the field, such as doctors, people that have done their doctors, who might not even come. Along with this, many students living in rural areas do not speak English. They speak their native language, while a majority of the professionals in various subjects are majorly English speaking. However, an AI who is proficient in almost all languages will be able to teach each and every student in their respective language, providing greater access to knowledge and information. Along with this, many students are different, might have some learning disabilities, might learn too fast. And AI will be able to personalize each and every single educational plan, allowing each and every student to succeed equally. Along with this, an AI has access to the latest information as compared to underqualified teachers who have graduated 5, 10 or 15 years ago. Meaning that the information provided by an AI as compared to a teacher will be usually more accurate and more correct. Along with this, many government institutions, many government schools have a very hard time replacing teachers. Often they are not even allowed to change their faculty, meaning that these underprivileged schools are filled with teachers that are underqualified and honestly undeserving of the position of being a teacher. Thus, as I conclude, I would like to say that education is the right of each and every child. And thus it lies in our hands, my dear audience, whether we will make this change, whether we will adapt and advance towards a better world, or whether we will deprive these children of what they truly deserve. Thank you so much.
So you mentioned something about people with special disabilities and something. So why are we expecting emotions of love, care, and concern from a tool that doesn't experience emotions, doesn't know what emotions are? So I don't think that in that case, AI can replace what humans actually feel.
My worthy opponent, creating specific education plans for each student does not mean giving them emotions. It means that, for example, if a student has dyslexia, an AI will use videos to teach that student. That does not require emotion. That is a specialized plan created by psychologists.
Yes, Team Jasmine.
My worthy opponent, while I do laud the way you recognize that AI doesn't need the human requirements like food, clothing, and shelter, don't you also consider that AI needs huge financial amounts to be invested in it for acquiring and maintaining it?
My worthy opponent, all it takes is a single device to use an AI as compared to a teacher who will require lakhs in salaries per month. If of course they are a doctor or have done a master's degree in their field, meaning that an AI is much more accessible to underprivileged children as compared to a professional.
Team Hibiscus.
My worthy opponent, why do you believe that teachers for underprivileged students are underqualified, undeserving, and less skilled?
The fact is that most of these government schools do not have much salary to offer to these teachers. That means that obviously they won't be able to get the perfect professional for each and every field. This obviously means that most of these, and one more thing is that these government schools are not allowed to freely change their teachers as they please. Meaning that once they get a teacher, they're stuck with them. And that also means that most of the time they will be underqualified and undeserving. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. That ends the debate.
Is the foundation of a man's living. Without it, we would live in a world of anarchy and chaos. It is what binds us together and leads us to progress. But what happens if we include differences in education, loss, and destruction? Good morning, everyone. My name is Anvesha Dubey, and I stand firmly with the motion that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. To substantiate my stand, I have 3 points. The primary reason is the lack of accessibility. AI is not accessible by underprivileged students as it is by privileged ones. Surely we all have a generative model on our phones. But to put that in all of our schools is a bit tedious of a task. Besides, we must also not forget the point that not everyone has a mobile phone, and the ones that even do cannot afford internet connection. Even including interactive online classrooms is difficult because in rural areas specifically, we do not have the right resources to do so. I would like to come to my second point, which is the decreasing mental health. With the surge of AI in all fields, there is no scope for us to be human. There is a lack of human values, or rather a death of human values, when we include AI in education. And this point is not left ignored. The US states are suing Meta for making Instagram addictive and causing harm to the mental health of teenagers. Education is the foundation of life. It not only provides us knowledge, but also gives us skills like communication and empathy. But with AI, is it truly possible? No. This is also being recognized by many people who are suing Amazon for its algorithm suggesting sodium nitrate, a preservative which in high doses leads to death. And yes, many teenagers are buying sodium nitrate after being suggested. Moreover, a dozen people in the past month have been exposed to psychotic episodes or delusional reactions when talking to generative AI. When we talk about differences, we must not forget economic inequality. And now I come to my third point. When we are unable to provide proper infrastructure for AI inculcation in rural areas, there is a large store of knowledge with the privileged class rather than the underprivileged class. This leads to a lower literacy rate in the rural class, leading to the decrease in the average literacy rate of the country. To conclude my statement, I would like to say that surely AI might help me write a book report. But will it actually help me improve my mental health, become an empath, and understand what people are feeling? Berkey once said that education is the chief defense of nations. But when it comes to AI, this defense is actually very weak. Thank you.
As you mentioned in your speech that AI is suggesting NaNO3, how does artificial intelligence suggesting NaNO3 widens the gap between the education?
I was mentioning that point under mental health because when I talk about mental health, students who are not exposed to AI have a better emotional quotient than students who are exposed to AI. And since the algorithm is suggesting such stuff to students who are exposed to AI, it is also leading to death. That is my point.
Team Jasmine.
Thank you for your opinion on this topic. Instagram made addictive is what you said. However, shouldn't this depend on the viewer's mindset and how influenced they are? Surely this isn't the case for everyone.
When I mean Instagram made addictive, I'm also talking about its algorithm. Algorithm is not something under the control of the users. It is what the creators control. That is my point.
Team Tulip.
Reports show that AI improves civic engagement and ensures election security. Don't you think that this tool is helping in electing correct representatives, which will lead the purpose forward of educating underprivileged kids and therefore reducing the gap between privileged and underprivileged kids?
Surely it may help elect, but will it help overcome corruption? Including AI in the infrastructure is just a statement, but actively working upon it is something that is not being followed. Yes, it has been implemented, but I don't see anywhere, any place that has actually seen improvement in improvement in inculcating AI.
Thank you, Ms. Anvesha.
A very good morning to all my worthy opponents, the respected judges, moderator, and dear audience. My name is Arya Chavan, and I stand firmly against the motion that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. Now, while many people might see AI as the villain in their story, I think it fits the role of the trusty sidekick much more. Now, when we speak of underprivileged kids, there are multiple barriers which they face, which privileged kids do not. Listing these barriers, I'll now explain how AI helps us bypass these barriers itself. The first one is, of course, money. The very root cause of underprivilegedness and privilege is monetary differences. Because they do not have money, they are underprivileged. And AI helps us bypass this by being free. Yes, we require a mobile phone, but really, isn't mobile phone the fifth appendage today? Isn't internet a basic access which majority of people have? The second point I come to is social stigma. The best quality of AI is its inability to judge. All of us have faced this one teacher who does not like us despite what we do. Come on, even if we look at history, there was Dronacharya who discriminated between Eklavya and Arjun, and I'm sure there exist many such Dronacharyas today as well. AI completely bypasses it. AI does not judge you, AI does not have any bias, and thus it becomes a good teacher. The third one is unavailable resources. While I have resources at the tip of my fingers, someone underprivileged might not. Resources like textbooks, proper research material, proper authors, proper information. Underprivileged students can't get that unless they use AI. Coming to my fourth point is good teachers. While I have the privilege of having had multiple good teachers, many underprivileged people do not. And AI's ability to explain situations, explain concepts to a kid very easily, its ability to create creative case studies and examples, its ability to use various graphs is what makes it so much more better. Now, change is the only constant in the world, and just like we faced the AI revolution today, we faced a tech revolution many years ago. And there, the same questions arise. How would everyone afford computers? How would everyone afford internet? But they did not afford it. Have we not come to the point where we do afford it? The same can be said for AI. When we look at a study, it shows that between 2013 and 2022, only India launched 296 AI-based startups. These startups are globally reversing brain drain. Why? Because while people make startups, people get employment opportunities. Employment opportunities result in an increased standard of living, and an increased standard of living results in less economic gap. Now, I would be lying if I said I did not use AI anywhere, but to handle menial tasks, boring tasks like finding examples or summarizing content, AI is a dream. AI is a dream for many students. In cases like law and philosophy, AI helps us provide many interesting case studies to practice. There is a website which I use for flashcards which analyzes my answers and gives me flashcards according to it. Not only for students, but even for teachers, AI can create lesson plans specifically catering to the needs of the children, helping teachers focus on the more important part of teaching. Now, as I conclude, to restrict AI development now would mean paralyzing a technology which is one of the most transformative in today's world. Thank you.
You mentioned majority people, and I quote, majority people have phones and internet. But what about the minority, which is actually defined as the underprivileged people? What about them? The discussion that we are debating on. What about them? What is the solution that AI will provide to them?
Thank you for the question, my worthy opponent. Now, while I did say that majority of people have internet access, a mobile phone is very common in these days, and I would also like to point out the existence of cyber cafes and many such other establishments which do provide free Wi-Fi. Not free Wi-Fi, but Wi-Fi at very cheap rates.
Team Marigold.
So, sure, AI can work in the ideation phase, but it cannot spoon feed execution. So, how is AI helping bypass lack of accessibility as you mentioned in your speech?
Thank you for your question, my worthy opponent. While I never said AI helps bypass the lack of accessibility, I did say how AI helps us access resources more. I never said how it's because accessibility and accessing resources is vastly different.
Team Hibiscus.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned in your speech that AI does not have any bias. What do you have to say about AI being created by humans and information that is misfed into the system that can lead to bias?
Yes, there are instances where AI leads to vast information gaps, but my idea when I said my thought process behind saying that AI has no bias is that while certain teachers, not all of them, certain teachers have certain biases against students, AI cannot do that because AI does not have any emotions. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Ms. Arya. That concludes your rebuttal.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Atharva Wala. And today I am going to speak for the topic that is AI in education will widen the gap between the privileged and underprivileged students. First of all, the privileged students who have their needs sorted out. They have hopes, they have wants, isn't it? So we are sure that they have technological tools and they have this internet access. But what about the underprivileged students? These students are the ones who do not even have their needs sorted out. That means the question that goes in their mind isn't what will we eat tonight, but the question that goes in their mind is will we get to eat tonight? So talking about these class of students, we can say that they do not have the access to internet and technology which allows them to use these AI tools. Now, the debaters have mentioned different advantages of AI, like they can provide resources, it can provide solutions, it can provide opinions and facts all compiled together. But what does it demand? It demands accessibility to technology, which these underprivileged class of students clearly do not have. As debaters, we must state facts. So, taking the example in the conflict-inflicted world that we are staying in today, conflicts in Africa, West Asia, Europe, a study suggests that 1 in every 4 students is not even enrolled in school. That means they do not even have the access to basic foundation education that is there. A problem that should be highlighted is the accessibility of resources. On one end, the privileged students are the ones who are exploiting the AI resources to its max potential and expanding their vast array of resources. On the other hand, one is struggling with needs to be sorted out. My worthy opponents might pose that AI is trying to bridge this gap by actually coming in the field of education. But pace also matters, doesn't it? So on one end, the one with a clear foundation and a clear base is able to expand the resources at 100x speeds just because he knows or she knows how to use that AI tools. And one is struggling to cope up with the technological advancement that is there because he or she has just been introduced to AI. Also, one of the problems that exists is it is said that in the tech-altered society, AI helps in improving the capability, isn't it? So my knowledge to AI might be limited, but an expert's opinion is what we should look for. So here I have an editorial which is by Karen Howe. She's an expert who developed, who was in the developing team of the first AI, OpenAI, that is ChatGPT. So she has this book published which is Empire of AI, which actually states and provides the much needed skepticism that is there, which is that AI is helping out the industrial powers and the creme de la creme of the society to flourish, while on the other hand, the struggling class, that is the underprivileged class, deprived of the facilities, are struggling to cope up with these technological advancements, right? And just my concluding remarks is that yes, AI in education is definitely widening the gap between the underprivileged students and the privileged students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Atharva.
As my esteemed friend, you spoke about saying that pace of education in AI is not relevant. But why do you think it is not relevant? It is relevant. AI can explain one thing in many forms. So why do you conclude by saying that pace of education, artificial intelligence is not relevant?
What I mentioned in my speech is that AI, the pace at which AI helps, that is, the one who has a clear foundation and a clear base, who knows how to use AI, and who is facilitated with these privileges, is able to move at a faster rate, while this one is struggling. See, if a person gets, if an underprivileged is getting an AI, sure he is not even underprivileged now, he is more than privileged. So, but still, if we consider the rate of expansion of knowledge and resources, the one here will be able to expand at a faster rate than the person here. And it actually is widening the gap if we look at the long term.
Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, as you said in your speech that the underprivileged do not have access to technology, but don't you think it's easier to get access to a single phone as compared to a high-level professional teacher?
So access to a single phone if you get an access to a single phone, and that does not mean phone serves different purposes. Phone serves entertainment, phone serves social media, phone serves different purposes. It is not that he will use it directly for education, isn't it? If there is a human touch who is just dedicated for the purpose of education, they might have a better guidance there. If a person is given a phone, and that to an underprivileged person, he might scroll through Instagram, he might go to Netflix, and there are various different options that he can do. So accessibility does not also solve the entire problem, isn't it?
That concludes the rebuttal for Mr. Atharva.
Good afternoon to the distinguished panel of judges, my worthy opponents, and to one and all present here. I'm Sarang Kothaude, and today I'll be speaking against the topic AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. Every 2 days, we now create as much as data we had created from the beginning of human history until the year 2003. So what does this show? This shows that AI is helping us generate data, and by generating data, we are generating knowledge. And knowledge is the weapon we can use to bridge the gap of accessibility and also bridge the gap between the underprivileged and underprivileged students. The range of AI is now global with its scope of users and type of people using it being virtually unlimited. I want to highlight the role of AI in providing educational opportunities and assistance to the socially needy or the underprivileged class. AI offers many online courses that makes learning available to a global audience. These opportunities can overcome language barriers and are also available at very low cost or even for free. Now let me address a very critical issue in this room, that is the accessibility of internet to use AI. There have been various points made by my fellow debaters telling that we need internet to access AI. And when we are especially talking about the underprivileged class. But in India alone, the BharatNet initiative by the government has provided internet access to over 2.5 lakh villages, and this number is going to increase from here on. Despite India having one of the largest pools of youth, a large number of young men and women remain unemployed because of the lack of necessary skills in this ever-changing world. The challenge which underprivileged people face is the gap between the skills provided by educational institutes and the skills required in today's job profiles. Outdated curriculum often fail to prepare students for workplace increasingly reliant on technology. A multi-pronged approach is being used with the help of AI to target these issues. Digital platforms like Coursera, edX, and AI-based learning modules are providing various courses which are helping to sharpen the skills of these young men and women, thus offering affordable and flexible skilling opportunities to both privileged and the underprivileged students alike. Then furthermore, as my opponent said about the issue of progress, the public-private partnerships are amplifying the reach of AI. AI-driven corporate programs such as Tata Strive and Infosys Springboard have set benchmarks in skill development and empowering the underprivileged. These programs go to the underprivileged areas or the rural areas and teach the students about AI, how to use these tools, thus bringing their concepts about AI a level above. The students are not just the beneficiaries, but also the leaders of tomorrow. And AI-based learning modules are just helping them to shift the India's economy towards a knowledge-based economy. AI is bringing the most sustainable pathway to inclusive growth and global competitiveness. AI is nurturing a skilled and adaptable workforce, which India can harness the full potential of its demographic dividend, drive innovation, and secure its place as a global leader in the AI age. Thank you.
Thank you. Team Hibiscus.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned in your speech that Coursera is one of the sources for studying courses for underprivileged students. What do you have to say about the fact that Coursera requires a significant amount of fees for their tutoring services which underprivileged students cannot afford?
Thank you for your question. I also mentioned various other sources like edX and other AI-based curriculums which are free of cost. So Coursera is one of them which offers the AI-based courses for the underprivileged to learn. So there are many other alternatives available which the students can use to learn about AI and be updated in this world.
Team Tulip.
So our government actually thinks about the underprivileged children, and we have education schemes which provide children up until the age of 14 free education. And I think free education is better than what investment we put in AI. So what's your take on that?
So if we take into consideration the term students, it will take all the people who are taking education. So free education to the certain extent, but the quality of teachers, as it has been mentioned repetitively, it's not up to that level which the people are like, you're required to be, to compare to a privileged student. And free education is mostly being provided in the underprivileged areas. So using the help of AI, so AI obviously has a high quality education. So the students are getting more quality education than free education which are telling, because mostly the teachers over there, they are not properly qualified due to the salary issues and all.
Team Jasmine.
My worthy opponent, you've mentioned that humans are creating more data than ever thanks to AI. However, AI's functioning happens at the cost of the environment, where we need immense water to cool down its systems. Shouldn't we make it sustainable first, then focus on applying it in education?
Please keep the answer really brief.
Can she paraphrase the question? Like, can you repeat the question once? Okay, so about talking about the sustainability perspective, if you are telling that AI is, the processes are taking time to cool down, but see, if there are certain benefits, there obviously will be some disadvantages. But the amount of water which is required to cool down is like not that much amount, it's not in that much amount with the help which the AI is providing. So the advantage here is like, if you compare it on a scale of 1 to 10, we are getting a benefit of 9 out of 10, and the disadvantage is like around 2 or 3. So there will be some consequences and we have to bear with it. So both the things are going hand in hand, and the companies are also trying to make AI more sustainable right now. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes your rebuttal, Mr. Sarang.
Forward. Sometimes, in our attempts to fix problems, we create new ones, deeper, quieter, and more dangerous. Artificial intelligence was created to make lives easier, One thing that's clear from the current development of AI proves if you repeat a lie enough, it becomes the truth. And sadly, that seems to be the strategy behind the opposition's argument for today's motion. The opposition's argument may be built on hope, but hope without scrutiny makes mistakes. A very good afternoon to the panel and fellow participants. I, Madhya Fayaz Mangalorkar, stand firmly for the motion. AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. Artificial intelligence nowadays is used in manufacturing, agriculture, service sector jobs, and newly, education. AI in education doesn't just refer to its use within school premises. AI for homework, research, and assignments falls under the ambit of AI in education. The sheer vastness and apparent availability of AI makes it seem promising. However, first looks can be deceiving. AI learning models such as ChatGPT, which we all can't function without, DeepSeek, Google Gemini, all have something in common. They claim to be accessible. But I ask you all, accessible for whom? The privileged or the underprivileged? The ones with access to basic facilities such as electricity and internet, or those poor souls who lack such access? AI claims to revolutionize. It claims to promote remote learning that is also cost effective and bridges the gap between rich and poor. But how can we do so when those who are truly underprivileged have never had that exposure? Let us take a look at what the motion sneaks past us. There are hundreds, if not thousands of AIs taking over jobs. If AI in education were to be implemented on a large-scale basis, whom would it truly benefit? How would the underprivileged gain if the AI takes over their jobs? What would be the point of such an education that results in the suffering of the poor and the betterment of the rich? Would it be the sons and daughters of laborers who would benefit from this AI-based education, or the children of those rich CEOs? Preparing for this speech without the use of ChatGPT was honestly excruciating. That's how dependent we are on AI. AI is no longer a tool, it's a part of us. It makes us lazy, the rich kids who have nothing to lose from this lethargy. But the underprivileged, they don't have their daddy's money to fall back on. A full-scale adoption of AI in education would not result in independence, it would widen the gap. We're not here to completely resist progress, we are here to protect people from what gets lost in the name of progress. We don't oppose the dream. AI certainly is and can be beneficial with careful integration and in the education sector. But to claim that it bridges the gap between the privileged and underprivileged is absurd. Let's not support the fantasy of the rich to get richer. It's time we deal with reality. Thank you.
Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, right around the end of your speech, you said that yes, it can work with special, paying attention to the integration. So doesn't that completely go against your argument that because the topic is not will without careful integration will it bridge the gap? It is AI in education.
So one thing that we all have failed to understand during the course of this debate is that the integration of AI doesn't necessarily mean the entire replacement of traditional teaching models, right? The crux of the matter is not whether AI can be integrated, it's whether it bridges the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. That's what it is.
Team Jasmine.
Good afternoon. Don't you think that AI would take over routine-based jobs, allowing humans to focus on creative problem-solving skills? Because AI, though takes away jobs, as you said, is also creating new ones and is developing companies effectively. What do you have to say on that?
Who is that truly benefiting? Is it benefiting the people from whom their jobs have been stolen, the poor laborers, or is it benefiting private companies and truly privileged individuals? Thank you.
Team Lotus.
Speaker, you said how AI is not about completely replacing teachers' jobs, but isn't that contradicting your own statement on
how AI replaces the jobs, which you said earlier?
I said it's not completely eradicating traditional teaching models, right? It is removing the jobs of those who are underprivileged and lack resources, basic facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes your rebuttal.
Artificial intelligence is built for all those who wish to learn. It is the language that the blind can hear and the deaf can see. And this strikes the very heat of today's motion. A very good morning to our judge panel and my worthy opponents. I am Hansika Srivastava and I stand firmly against this motion. AI in education widens the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. Artificial intelligence is the most instrumental development of our generation, and this tool fits the palm of our hand. When you ask ChatGPT a question, it doesn't ask you what your family's monthly income is or what brands you have in your closet. It provides you with a simple answer. With the use of AI, students can learn languages. So let me ask you this. Didn't AI just allow students who could only speak one language, which is their native language, to basically understand almost every language known to humans? With the help of AI simulations, you don't need a fancy school to get access to real-life practices of any education fields. It gives you access to free online AI-based simulations. AI does not only refer to ChatGPT, it is anything that mimics human intelligence and is continuously evolving. Such tools help literally anybody who is curious to study. In the 21st century, the age of the internet, youngsters face bullying and insecurities on a daily basis. AI bots such as ChatGPT offer mental health support to those who may not be able to afford an actual therapist. While listening to the introduction of the judges, I heard three main factors: education, law, and MUNs. Let me begin with the motive to provide legal education to underprivileged students. There are numerous places around the world where it is difficult to even travel. What AI basically does is makes it easy for education to travel to those people. It makes education accessible to those people. Education is the fundamental right of every student, may it be a privileged student or an underprivileged student. AI personalizes information for each student. A child might be a slow learner, a fast learner, an analytical learner, a visual learner. This not only makes education easily accessible to the students, but also easily accessible to the educational institutions. If Jio can provide smartphones for as low as 3,000, why are we still questioning the availability of mobile phones for underprivileged students when the cost of books, schools, and stationery adds up to more than that of a simple mobile phone? If this wasn't enough, yesterday I read about an app that allows us to send messages without the use of internet. The future brings technology to us based on our needs. AI bridges the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. This is the time that we are waiting for. In the words of Obama, change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the change that we have been waiting for. This is the time to use the future to build our future. AI will never widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. Thank you.
So you said something about the app that doesn't require internet to text. As far as I know, even to install the app, you require some kind of data or some kind of Wi-Fi. So can you specify how and what's the app?
So this was a research that was ongoing about apps that can provide that through which you can text people without the use of internet. So simply, it's showing that the future brings a lot to us. So it can easily provide the access to AI without internet in the future. Not right now, but yes, it is possible in the future.
Team Daffodil.
You spoke about the benefits of AI, and as much as I agree that AI is very beneficial, I must ask again, there are villages, there are places in our country, as an example, where there is no access of internet. Let's take Kashmir or Manipur as an example, where internet is sometimes cut off as well. What about the students there, and how will AI benefit them?
So, like I just said in my answer, there are apps that are being developed through which you can send text without internet. So, the future brings a lot to us, and this is the time that we use the future to build our future.
Team Jasmine.
My worthy opponent, you've mentioned AI working in as therapists for underprivileged people. However, there have been cases of AI giving controversial answers in emotionally complex questions. How can you still prove that chatbots can act as therapists?
So, when it comes to therapists, the point is that AI always learns from you. So, if you're sending something to ChatGPT, let's say, they're going to learn from it. There's an option in the app itself where you can allow them to use that information for their further researches. So, simply, when AI acts as a therapist to you, they're not providing they're not 100% acting as a therapist, but they're doing what a therapist will do for you.
Thank you, Ms. Hansika. That concludes your rebuttal round.
Good morning, respected judges, listeners, and my worthy opponents. I, Dhyanisha, stand here firmly for the motion that AI will widen the gap. That AI will widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. Firstly, what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence, also known as machine intelligence, replicates the human cognitive behavior, and it is slowly gaining importance in every aspect of human life and has crept its way into the education sector. Every single student looks up to artificial intelligence, whether it's project completion or seeking answers to the questions they are unaware of. Without the use of artificial intelligence, their detailed knowledge would be curbed and it would incise them to a certain extent. In this world, there are many students who suffer from cognitive disorders like ADHD or dyslexia. And they require constant attention and personal human touch. Now, do you think, would they be able to rely on AI? No, I don't think so, right? There are many remote areas where there's inaccessibility of Wi-Fi, and therefore, they cannot use artificial intelligence. That leads them to a greater disadvantage to the people living in urban areas who get accessibility to Wi-Fi and can use AI whenever they want to. There are many poor sections of society who are not able to purchase even a single smartphone. How would they be able to use AI? They won't be able to, right? Therefore, there's a wide gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. Let me give you an example. We all remember COVID-19, right? Where we were studying online on laptops and stuff. The people from poor sections of society were not being able to educate themselves because they were not able to afford laptops. I know this is not related to AI, but this shows how there's a wide gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. All advanced information available are mostly payable, and introduction of AI in education will provide industries to capitalize on the opportunity, which, being new and innovative, will lead to the technology costly and thus not accessible to the poorer sections of society. Therefore, I stand firm that AI in education has created a wide gap between the privileged and the underprivileged students. Thank you.
Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, you have said that the children living in rural areas not have access to technology and such. But the fact is that your view towards underprivileged people is very narrow. Even those living in low-income families in the city who have phones are also underprivileged, who will greatly benefit through AI in education. What are your thoughts on this?
Thank you for your question. But what about the internet? Do they have access to internet all the time? Do they have lights, internets? And you said about the phone, but do poor sections of society usually don't have the smartphones which we have? Not an iPhone, not Vivo, Oppo. Some people have Nokia. Now, do you think that would provide us with artificial intelligence? Thank you.
Team Jasmine.
Humans sometimes lack the patience to handle students with ADHD or dyslexia. AI has creative, patient, and alternative ways to educate them. What do you have to say on that?
Thank you for your question. If a person suffering from ADHD or dyslexia goes to AI and asks them something or seeks information for them, you just get an answer, right? But if, like, I'm going to a teacher and I'm suffering from ADHD or dyslexia, they do lack sometimes patience, but that does not mean all the time they would yell at us or stuff. Instead, they would help us out. They would have a constant attention on us. Would AI have a constant attention on us, whether we are grasping the knowledge? No, right?
Thank you, Ms. Dhyani. That concludes your rebuttal.
Those who will embrace AI won't just survive the future, they will build it. Good afternoon, dear judges and my fellow debaters. Today, I stand strongly against the motion that artificial intelligence in education will widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. Artificial intelligence, also known as machine intelligence, is any device or machine which replicates cognitive functions humans associate with the human mind. Artificial intelligence is gaining fast recognition and is getting incorporated in every sector of our daily human life. AI is also creeping its way into the education sector. Today, every household has access to internet and mobile phones. There are free models of artificial intelligence which are available online, which can be accessed simply by using a mobile phone. The underprivileged can use artificial intelligence to gain access to knowledge over the globe and learn about the current market trends and technological developments. Artificial intelligence can give access and knowledge to the underprivileged, which was previously denied to them due to the incapability to buy books. With the advancement of artificial intelligence in education, more and more enterprises are filling in the future demanding market. This will lead to the competition for serving the industry and becoming its prime player, leading to reduced prices and increased affordability for the underprivileged. Finally, I believe that artificial intelligence, when used wisely, can greatly help in the growth of human race, irrespective of the social or financial status of the individual. I firmly stand against the motion that artificial intelligence in education will widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged. I would like to conclude by quoting that artificial intelligence is the heart of humanity, pulsing with connection, compassion, and change. Thank you.
Participant has spoken for 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Team Dahlia.
My respected opponent, you had mentioned in your starting line that those who embrace AI will excel in the future. But what about the people who can't afford to embrace AI?
Can you repeat the last part?
What about the people that can't afford to embrace AI?
Who can afford?
Cannot afford.
So that is my point, that who cannot afford to embrace, you should learn to embrace AI so that you can have a better future. And it is not as costly and is possible and well within the means of even the underprivileged.
Team Tulip.
So addiction is a rising concern amongst youngsters now, whether be privileged, underprivileged. And we often doom scroll on Instagram, TikTok is banned, but then Facebook, all of that. So doesn't it tell the child to deviate from studying and spend hours wasting their time not studying?
Well, I did mention in my speech that the correct and wise use of artificial intelligence is necessary for the growth. Anything in excess can lead to its harmful effects. So, thank you.
Team Jasmine.
My worthy opponent, you mentioned AI could be a source of compassion, but do you truly believe it could mimic the emotional intelligence or nuanced understandings that humans have?
I believe over time it can learn that. artificial intelligence has been learning the human mind, the way humans respond, and over time, I believe it can even replicate emotions.
Team Lotus.
Speaker, you mentioned that AI can be used to understand current market trends, but many AI models need to be constantly updated with current information. What are your thoughts on that?
They need to be updated, but that is not to be done by the user. That is to be done by the owner of the servers, right? So it can be then used by the consumers for their benefit.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Granth. That concludes your rebuttal round.
And the discerning audience. Good morning, good afternoon, and namaste to all present here. I am Manav Tevar from Team Sunflower, and I rise today in firm support for the motion AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. Now tell me, what is AI? You might think to yourself, AI is artificial intelligence. What is this guy saying? Well, you're right, but it's not just that. AI is the pinnacle of our modern age. It defines our era of technological prowess. It's a series of codes common people like you and me can't understand, and some of them might even think it's magic. That's how amazing it is. Well, what's the first thing that comes into your mind when I speak of AI? You might say ChatGPT. Well, I guarantee that no one in this room can remember their life without ChatGPT. Even myself in my personal life find myself to rely ChatGPT all the time. That's how powerful and efficient it has become. And what's even more fascinating is that this is the start of the era of AI. Now, what's the difference between an underprivileged and privileged student? Now, this is my perspective, but I would say an underprivileged student is one student living in a rural area, studying in a government school with a lack of any facilities or even Wi-Fi. Now, what's a privileged student? You could say a privileged student is one student with 24/7 access to Wi-Fi, studies in a posh school, and has a luxurious life. This leads to my first contention, that the fact that access to education has always been uneven between privileged and underprivileged students. This gap has been shaped by considerations like your class of living, your economic status, your caste, or even your gender. Now, during the pandemic, this divide was deepened. Underprivileged students that didn't have access to Wi-Fi, they fell under the radar. While privileged students, they had access to Wi-Fi, they had access to AI, and in this time, AI had introduced itself to the world. And this privileged student could use the AI to benefit himself. This privileged student left the underprivileged student in the dust. Now, I'll give you an example. Pretend I'm an underprivileged student. I have my exam tomorrow. I have a doubt for 5 marks. Now, I don't have Wi-Fi to contact my teacher, so I lose that 5 marks. Now, if I'm a privileged student, I can use AI to my advantage and gain that 5 marks. That's the difference between a privileged and underprivileged student. There's an evident gap. Now, my second contention is that AI is the future of education. China has made an AI teacher using advanced robotics and AI. Now, in 10 to 20 years, this AI teacher will be evident in every school. And this will leave an underprivileged student who has no use of AI, he doesn't have accessibility to AI. They will fall under the radar again. And these privileged students, they'll practically have a supercomputer under their fingertips. Now, to conclude, this is why I believe that AI will always widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students, as AI is skyrocketing. Well, that's pretty much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manav.
In your speech, not only did you say that AI is the future of education, but also you did say that it will be installed in every school in China. even the government and the less privileged ones, doesn't that mean that AI will actually lessen the gap and it is completely opposite to what you were meant to say?
Okay, so let's take an example. It's not, don't take it too seriously, but suppose I put this AI teacher in Bihar. Now, these unprivileged students from rural areas, they might not understand what this teacher is, and people often fear what they don't understand. What's stopping this student or his family to stealing this AI robot for their own profit? Because they don't understand how this AI teacher works. They can't understand how it's teaching. They don't see its use.
Team Poppy.
Just like you stated right now, don't you think the point should be focusing on the adaptability of change rather than just eradicating AI just because people won't understand what it is?
That's a example for a low rural student, because he the AI could not teach the student properly. Maybe it's sad because the student didn't understand what it is. And the objective is to promote this AI. So, yeah, I don't really understand your question.
Any further questions? All right, Mr. Manav, that concludes your rebuttal round.
Good afternoon, respected judges, moderators, and my worthy opponents. I am Meenakshi Siddharth Raja, and I stand firmly against the motion on the topic, AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. Now, what really is AI? We all know it's artificial intelligence. Now, if we put AI in education, it's going to prevent a lot of things. We know that education brings about knowledge, it boosts creativity, and helps us reform and restructure our future. Now, education to some people may be just writing some boring exams and then doing some homework questions that you don't really want to do. But for a lot of people, especially in our country, education is something that helps them reform their future, that helps them represent their community and their people. Now, assuming that AI will very evidently not be in rural areas, we can say that underprivileged students can still grasp the same amount of knowledge that people can grasp with AI. Now, AI basically just sums up all the information that is already existent and puts it in front of you. But won't we get the same amount of knowledge if we just read books? And that's the same thing that people of rural areas can do. Now, students of rural areas that don't have access to AI can get raw and direct information from their teachers in their schools. And for privileged students, they face a lot of problems in the information that they get because of misinformation and biasness that AI could show. AI just basically puts out whatever is on the internet, and whatever is on the internet could be biased. Now, let's take an example. You are assigned a project on the topic XYZ. What does a privileged student do? They go home, take their laptop, search up on ChatGPT. What is XYZ topic, and draft a project for me. They get it all done and they forget it the next day. But students who don't have access to AI in rural areas, they have the ignition in them. They want to learn, they're curious, and they have the eagerness of finding out about that topic even more. That just shows that they are nothing less than a privileged student that has access to AI. There's an example in Delhi where they have a community library set up for all students, including the underprivileged ones. They have access to not only a storehouse of books, but also different forms of resources like internet access that could be used for a very short amount of time. Now, these resources also mean web workshops, seminars, and career counseling from multiple people. So, what I'd like to say is that, in conclusion, AI does not widen the gap that already exists, as AI cannot create or bring about new information that humans have already found out about. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Meenakshi.
You stated that people in rural areas should simply read books. So basically, are you suggesting that AI is only meant for the privileged? That's completely going against your point.
Okay, if we define privileged and underprivileged, I'm pretty sure the first thing that you think about underprivileged is people below the poverty line that don't have access to phones or other internet or Wi-Fi. So if they don't have access to any of those, they resort to reading. And reading has been a traditional method from decades that have helped people gain more knowledge than gain less knowledge. And books can come from community libraries that have updated books, and also other resources such as seminars or workshops that could help them further improve.
Team Lily.
My worthy opponent, you have said in your speech that, quote, education helps underprivileged students reaffirm their future. How does the opponent say that education would reaffirm the future provided AI is inculcated, since only 55% of India has access to the internet? Don't you think this response ignores the lower 45% strata of society?
Okay, so the point that I mentioned about how education is an important part of the underprivileged does not mean that education can only come from the resource of AI. Education means a lot. It's not only one part that is there. And education can come from all types of sources, and it's not only AI that could help them. So reforming and restructuring their future does not mean getting education and information purely based on AI, because AI is just a tool that has already existing information that humans have found out in a shorter form. Thank you so much.
That concludes the rebuttal round for Ms. Meenakshi.
Thank
we
you.
move on to the next team.
Good afternoon to the respected judges, worthy opponents, and the esteemed audience. I am Shubsi Patni, and I stand for the motion. I very much believe that AI will widen the gap between privileged and the underprivileged children. Let's get one thing straight. Education is a right, not a formality. We might as well get this done right. Speaking of AI, it is like the most debated topic right now. And at this point, it's not even about underprivileged or privileged children. What is privilege to you? The one who can get access to resources? Wrong. I believe that every child on planet Earth is privileged because we have the ability to think, question, and argue. The financial resources just act as an additional step to achieving that education. Let's talk about India. We are still considered developing. And I think that's nonsense, because we've already advanced in so many fields, like literally every field. Talking about education specifically, the most UPSC aspirants come from villages in Rajasthan and Bihar. So do we call them underprivileged or intelligent and hardworking? Now let's get more specific. AI, just very lazy and easily manipulated. You can mold us however you want. And ladies and gentlemen, AI is here to do exactly that. Mr. Geoffrey Hinton, referred to as the godfather of AI, was himself expressing the concerns about potential risks that AI holds. He worries about the superintelligence driven by an inherent need to achieve its objectives, developing a strong control and power eventually. In a country like India, where unemployment rises with the increase in population, the teachers will be replaced by AI. And mind you, that does not look very promising for the future that we hold. And don't we like to study with the teachers around us? They're always there to help us, even if it's not study related. And we know to follow the relationship that the teacher and a student hold. We know our boundaries, we know our limits. The study shows that children have been found falling in love with AI. How ridiculous is that? Getting attached and overlooking studies is a dangerous precedent. And worst of all is addiction. Addiction does not discriminate between underprivileged and privileged. Mr. Mustafa Suleiman feels AI will have infinite hold by 2026, which I think is coming true. We have made it a habit to depend and rely on AI and become less productive day by day. This also doesn't distinguish between the unprivileged and the privileged children. Also in school, teachers make us do everything. I mean, I remember having cleaning sessions every week in my school. It taught me how to become obedient, disciplined, and organized. I don't think AI is capable of doing that. The most prominent one is mental health. Continuously studying from digital tools causes eye strains and even neurological damages. Plus, the experience plays a vital role in teaching and learning. Due to dependency, we forget the lessons we learned in past. If not for the, entertaining poems and colorful flashcards and charts, I wouldn't have remembered all the poems that I learned in my childhood. And teachers have way more information to give you than in real life than AI. So I think it provides for a very fun learning in our daily course. And lastly, the topic that we have all spoken about, malfunctions. How do we deal about that? There are areas in the country where light goes out every day for long hours. Won't the learning of the children suffer? To conclude, I firmly stand by what I said. And let's nurture what we have in us, inbuilt, and not some man-made master. Thank you so much.
You stated everyone on earth is privileged because they have the ability to think. Isn't your speech completely denying the validity of the agenda? How can you stand for it? Also, if AI doesn't discriminate between underprivileged and privileged, how does it even widen the gap between them?
So here is what I think. I think that not just having financial resources at your disposal is what makes you privileged or underprivileged. Even a child at the street has the power to think, and if given the right kind of education, he can master into what he can become. Thank you.
Team Jasmine.
Good afternoon. You had mentioned that AI can completely eradicate educators. Why do you feel AI has to eradicate them when they can both coexist? Teachers' creativity could complement AI's analysis that is even more vast and detailed.
I feel that learning in a real classroom is better than what AI can provide because it gives you a lot of emotions. The teachers really understand what a type of person you are, whether you'll have to feed that in AI that, okay, I hold so many capabilities in me, and hence, on basis of that, he'll give you a enhanced report of what you can. So I feel that teachers are somewhere needed here and there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, my worthy opponents, dear moderator, and the panelists. Education, the most essential part of our lives. Whether an individual is privileged or underprivileged, education is the birthright of every single individual in this room, in this country, and on planet Earth. And AI is a cherry on top, and it enhances education like no other element does. My name is Vansha Chawla, and I stand firmly against the motion AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students. I'm done. I'm done with people thinking that AI is a gap widener. In my opinion, it brings us together. Rohan sir, our honorable panelists, you have worked tirelessly in underprivileged schools to raise legal awareness, and I thank you for your service. Sir, but I would like to provoke a thought. Don't you think that with AI's customization and accuracy powers, it will make this process way more efficient? Just imagine this being beautifully executed. Let me explain how. First, let's eliminate the difference between privileged and underprivileged students just for a moment. Let's just use the term students. What does a student want? What does a student need? And that is the most important and factually accurate question you can ask. In my opinion, one of the most important things when being educated, what a student needs, is to be assisted with critical decision-making skills and critical thinking skills. Now, what is critical thinking? Breaking a problem down and solving it? And AI very much does so. AI helps us with critical decision making, with absolute prompt accuracy, that automatically provides an efficient skill in the bag of a privileged and an underprivileged student. Just imagine how amazing that is. Just imagine the beauty of a scene where a privileged student is teaching an underprivileged student to give prompts to AI. Both are learning something, and both are striving towards becoming knowledgeable and creative individuals in the future. The second aspect, my personal favorite, is this finger, right? Which we poke into everyone's business. When we buy something, we use this finger. This soap will be foamy, right? This pen will write correctly, right? This flower is not adulterated, right? This is the finger of an inquisitive student. So many questions. One right. Okay, I'll give you a fact. Walmart, if Walmart was a country, it would be the 25th largest GDP in the world. You know the Fortune 500, 75% of it is located in G7 countries. Now you guys must be thinking, why is this fellow giving facts? I'm saying these facts to signify that I am a self-aware student with the help of AI. AI is standing by my side so that I can be self-aware. Just imagine I can provide this information to an underprivileged student. Wouldn't that be amazing? I'm trying to provoke thoughts, right? One right that goes on the lines of education is the right to be aware. And ladies and gentlemen, AI points this finger, a student's finger, to the right direction, knowing facts and what is going around the world. AI can provide data sets and prompt news faster than humans. A self-aware student who is aware of what is going on around him and who knows how to ask right questions is not a student, he or she is a revolutionary. And AI signifies just that, revolution. Third, I describe AI as enhancement, not replacement. I describe AI as an aid. Most current generative AI tools are used to assist humans, whether it's relating to a privileged or an underprivileged student. I will conclude by saying that whoever is going for this topic and whoever is thinking that AI in education will widen the gap between privileged and underprivileged students, I urge you all.
Thank you.
You said you know facts because of AI. So are you saying that the sources you used aren't verified and that you used AI for your data?
Okay, very, very valid question. Sorry I didn't specify, but you must be thinking that I use my information through ChatGPT, right? I use a platform personally called perplexity.ai. Perplexity.ai basically refers to, suppose I prompted to make a background guide on some agenda, right? And it does not give the background guide on its own, it lists down resources from valid UN organizations. That is what I use. And that is what we have been missing today. We have been only signifying ChatGPT. But when platforms like perplexity.ai exist, I think that validated sources of information and accurate information exists. Thank you.
Team Jasmine.
My worthy opponent, while you did paint a beautiful picture of a privileged person teaching an underprivileged student to utilize AI for critical thinking, doesn't the overusage of AI threaten our critical thinking, our creativity by making us over-reliant on it?
Okay. Thank you so much for your question. I have a very beautiful thought. You guys have heard about foreign exchange programs, right? I recommend locally AI exchange programs. Collaboration of schools, a privileged school located in the urban area and an underprivileged school located in the rural area. AI exchange programs, and those students who have used AI, who use AI on a daily basis, teaching those underprivileged students who don't use AI on a daily basis. So I don't think that overusage of AI does that. I'm just saying that AI exchange programs can be the revolutionizing thought. Thank you.
That brings us to the conclusion of your rebuttal round.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Vanshij. There's no doubt left, I think, that AI is here to stay and it shall shape our future. The differences in opportunities and privileges, of course, is a matter of concern and need to be addressed at the earliest. There are solutions to every problem, and as a society, we need to work together to extract the best from everything that we have on offer. And as responsible young adults, we need to be a part of the solution and not create further problems. And this is a discussion, I think, that shall continue at least for the near future. Thank you, dear participants. We have now reached the end of our debate. And before anything further, I would like to invite Mr. Vishwajyoti, sir.
Good afternoon, respected judges, teachers, dear students, and my colleagues. It is my privilege to present this song. I would like to present Bhagat Man song to congratulate for this wonderful debate event. I'll sing one ghazal, which is sung by Jagdish Singh Sahab, and it is penned by Javed Sahab. Hope you like it. So I have chosen a track to sing this song.
तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया, जिंदगी धो तुम घना साया। तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया, तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया, जिंदगी धो तुम घना साया। तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया। आज फिर दिल ने एक तमन्ना की, आज फिर दिल ने एक तमन्ना की, आज फिर दिल को हमने समझाया, आज फिर दिल को हमने समझाया। जिंदगी धो तुम घना साया, तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया। तुम चले जाओगे तो सोचेंगे, तुम चले जाओगे तो सोचेंगे, हमने क्या खोया, हमने क्या पाया, हमने क्या खोया, हमने क्या पाया। जिंदगी धो तुम घना साया, तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया। आखिरी शेर। हम जिसे गुनगुना नहीं सकते, हम जिसे गुनगुना नहीं सकते, वक्त ने ऐसा गीत क्यों गाया, वक्त ऐसा गीत क्यों गाया, जिंदगी धूप तुम घना साया, तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया, तुमको देखा तो ये ख्याल आया। La 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 la.
Hello, good afternoon. Am I audible? Yeah, lovely, great. Firstly, a huge round of applause for all of you, all the participants, the audience, everybody. So, I'll ask all of you, how was it for you guys? Yeah, did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy the process of, preparing and arguing and all that? Okay, lovely. Again, it was great judging all of you. I'm just a few years younger than you. I'll take this privilege of judging all of you, and we have, detailed feedback. Let me start with some general feedback that I could notice. What is critical is understanding the topic and understanding the framework of the entire thing. So AI in education, will it widen the gap between the privileged and the underprivileged? That is the question. Here, we are not only restricted to India, but the entire globe. So your arguments should not be, only restricted to India. That is one thing that I could observe, that many of you were only talking about, access to education and all that. That is one. Very few people actually spoke about what is underprivileged. How do you define the underprivileged? According to which study? United Nations, or, so where does it come from? Thank you. And I would advise you to read the topic, at least like 10 times, so that you have more clarity, and just try to understand what is being asked and how can you work your way around that. This is something, if a few of you are planning to do law, it will help you quite a bit. What are the assumptions that you can see from the topic? So AI in education. So we are not talking about self-learning. We are talking about education, like formal education. That is one. A few pointers, again, were, repeated. Access to education is not there. There's no electricity. India does not have the infra to handle AI as yet. But if we just look at it clearly, let us assume that AI has already arrived in our classrooms, arrived in government colleges, and we may not have the infra to support it. We may not have the infra to, work our way around it, to start, no electricity and, but should AI be there? I think, it should be there. There's no right and wrong. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. A few things, one of them was the rebuttal. So I think what you should focus on is try to be more natural when you're rebutting something. And you can also use a little bit, not a lot, a little bit of sarcasm. So when I get a question from there, and I'm, say, opposing the motion, and I get a question, I can always paraphrase. Okay, this is what she's saying. Many times, somebody's mic over here was not working very clearly. Your mic was not close to your mouth, and maybe you couldn't, the audience couldn't hear you. So a good idea is to paraphrase. Okay, this is what they are saying, and then your rebut. So that is something that can work wonders. That is about it. I would ask you to be more natural and not just, it doesn't have to be in the format of a speech. One day I came to Bombay and I saw it doesn't have to be in this format. It has to be a little more natural, a little more eloquent, and a bit more reactive. Is something that I thought that all of us could work on, but I loved the way it was conducted. I loved the way that you spoke. I loved the rebuttals. The rebuttal questions were superb. They were outstanding, I thought. And so that's about it from my end. Any questions for me, if you would want? Nothing? Okay. So should we wrap it up then? Ma'am, am I supposed to give individual feedback right now or later? Later? Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, sure, for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to invite Mr. Rajdeep Mukherjee to say a few encouraging words.
Hi, am I audible? Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for sitting through almost 1.5 hours of intense debating. I know it's not easy. It's easier to speak than to listen. We're at the end of it, I promise. Firstly, I think y'all are doing really well. So I have been on this side of Frank Anthony. This is my first time on the other side. This is much easier. And when I was at that end, my worry was not just about being able to give a good speech. It was about if I'll finish on time, if the things that I've written on my hands, is the moderator going to see it? Is it going to go off because of sweat? Will I find a last-minute ill-fitted blazer? Because obviously, why is there formals? I never understood the concept, but all of these issues were there. So I understand the kind of nervousness that you're having. In spite of all these thoughts, the fact that you're putting up that grade of a performance, I think it's commendable. So a huge round of applause for y'all. I think Rohan's given quite substantive feedback. We'll obviously do individual feedback. But other than that, just some pointers which I thought will help you. Some of them motion specific, some of them just debate specific, which helps you go ahead forward. First thing, as a nature of debating, I think it becomes a lot more engaging if you debate in the mean. What does this mean? Basically, you understand that your arguments work when all the things that you set up your debate in are in your favor. It's something which we call as best case scenario. The opposite of that is the worst case scenario, where nothing is in your favor, where all the premises that you would set up for your argument to succeed do not exist. Where does the debate then lie? It lies somewhere in the between, where your rebuttals, most of the rebuttals which were very worst case oriented. What if there's no electricity? What if there's no AI? What if there's no mobile phone? You would have to ask your arguments and prove your arguments saying that, okay, let's just assume there's electricity. Let's assume there's AI. Even then, why does my argument still stand? That's where I think your arguments become a lot more engaging. Then, second step comes to this is, what is this debate about? This debate wasn't necessarily about AI versus education or AI versus teachers. You need not take your arguments in isolation and prove they're strong. It needs to be at a common level. Even in that common level, if you can get one margin up than the other side, that's the clincher of the debate. That is where you win. We'll do a short exercise where we can run through your arguments. We'll see how we set the premise of the debate slightly differently. And after that, if you all have feedback, we can discuss. It can be a constructive session. So first step, after we've understood what the mean is, where this debate is lying, it's very important to do this thing which we call as characterizing the debate. What does this mean? This means laying down what does the world look like. Why is this important? Because you need to explain to me where is this debate happening. If I would probably discuss this in India today versus US, I think a lot of arguments would differ. In that scenario, questions which I think all of you asked probably not in the same order or not with the same emphasis that it would have been appreciated, was why is education important? Why are we talking about students here? What does AI look like? What kind of large language models are we talking about? What kind of data do they give? Now, why is this important to flag off arguments? Because without this premise, your arguments just resort to probably a statement. What would this look like? So, whenever we go ahead and quote students and they give us arguments, we do this exercise with them where we ask them, let's construct this into a point. From an argument to a point. How do you do that? You probably, rather than just making statements, you go ahead and explain the problem first. Then you lay down what the current scenario looks like, which is your status quo. Then you give a solution, the one which you are offering. It can be with an explanation, it can be with an example, multiple ones which I heard during the course of this debate. Then you come to your conclusion. What's very important in this conclusion is to establish exclusivity, saying that only the for side of this debate can achieve this. It's not possible on the other side. That is where you win this debate. So, for example, in this debate, this motion, if we had to do for, right off the bat, what I can think about is if I had to show that it is widening the gap between underprivileged and privileged, again, not quantifying what that looks like, if assuming that premise had been set, it would probably look like the growth of AI is just going to lead to incomplete problem solving. What does that look like? I'm not talking about replacing education with AI, but you're shadowing. The moment you promote the growth of AI, and given that all of us agree that setting up fundamental grassroots level education is really expensive, painstaking, and also takes a lot of time. The moment I know AI can achieve a margin of that, it just pushes policymakers, change makers in the government to say, oh, we've done AI for you. Why do you need a university? Why do you need something like an IIT setup? That is where fundamental grassroots level change is never going to happen on this side of against in this motion. That's how you would probably categorize an exclusive win argument from for. Same thing, if we were to do from against, what does that look like? Okay. Imagine, let's just agree that disparity will continue. Now that we've agreed there is disparity, disparity is going to continue. What does this debate become about then? For people who have the ability and the opportunity to learn, on your side there is disparity. We know that grassroots level change is going to take lots of time, is going to take lots of money. In that case, even if I can make a change in one person's life, where that person gets to learn some vocational training, even though if it's probably a blue-collar job, even though after coming back from college or a diploma college, he goes and learns probably how to ride a bike or contribute to the gig economy, he is better than yesterday. Even then, I think the gap is lessening. Sure, it's probably not the end goal or the desirable career option for him, but he's better than he was yesterday. And that's where the debate is about. A lot of you spoke about how COVID and there were virtual classes. And you all also spoke about how students get to learn. So we can't really debate this at a point where we don't talk about there's no money to buy smartphones. Let's assume everyone has money to buy smartphones. In that case, how does your debate still stand? For example, you're at a house where the parent has only one phone. There are two children. Both of them have classes. The elder brother has to sacrifice his classes for the younger brother. Here, the AI can take notes for him. He can go back to the classes, take that added advantage of AI where the doubts which he couldn't understand or the doubts which he couldn't ask during his actual lectures, he can ask it to the AI. That's the kind of bridging of gap we're talking about. It doesn't need to be a sudden one-day change. Even if you make a really marginal difference, and if you can prove that that difference is possible, I think that's where you take the debate. But yeah, that's more or less what I felt about the debate. We can have a longer chat later, post results. But thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a great time.
Thank you, sir. The moment we all have been waiting for has arrived. Now, I would like to call Mrs. Sudha Menon ma'am to announce the results.
Mr. Vivan Shah, Avalon Heights. Ms. Nishita, again from Avalon Heights. Mr. Joshua from Christ Academy. Mr. Raj Shekhar, also from Christ Academy. Miss Sara, Christ Church, Baikula. And Miss Nupur, again from Christ Church. Miss Zara Sen, Euro School, Airoli. Miss Rebecca Taragan, Euro School, Airoli. Mr. Shrijan Pandey, Euro School, Pune. And Mr. Hardik Mehra, Euro School, Pune. Miss Arya Chavan, Lodha World School, Palava. Miss Anvesha Dubey, Lodha World School, Palava. Mr. Atharva, Podar International School, Nerul. Mr. Sarang, Podar International School, Nerul. Miss Hansika, Ryan International School, Khargar. Miss Madhya, Ryan International School, Khargar. Mr. Granth, St. Mary's School, Koperkerne. Ms. Dhyani Shah, St. Mary's ICSE School, Koperkerne. Ms. Meenakshi, Sri Ram Universal School, Dombivli. Mr. Manav, Sri Ram Universal School, Dombivli. I request ma'am to announce the results. All right, we have the results. The second runner-up speaker, we have Ms. Shubhsi Patni from Vibgyor High School. Congratulations. First runner-up, we have Ms. Hansika Srivastava from Ryan International School, Khargar. Best speaker, we have Ms. Madhya from Ryan International School, Khargar. I'm announcing the runner-up team. You guys don't get a certificate, but the runner-up team is Vibgyor High School, Malad. And the winning team is Ryan International School, Khargar. Congratulations to all the winners. Hansika and
As we come to the end of today's program, I would like to thank each and every one who worked on and off the dais to make it a grand success. We would like to thank the esteemed panel of judges for gracing the occasion with their presence. It was enriching and insightful. Once again, I would like to thank the delegates from other school, escorting teachers, our respected principal ma'am, staff, and the volunteers. A big thank you goes to the auxiliary staff who ensured the smooth running of the event. This is Pragati Raman taking your leave. Hope you have a great day ahead.
I request all the contestants to please assemble here for a group photograph.